Hey, New Century Church, this is Aaron Smith. I'm really excited to share a devotional with you this morning because, as part of my normal devotional plan I'd be doing, today is Psalm 86, which is hands down one of my favorite Psalms of all. So, I'm going to get to that in a moment, but I just want to pause for a moment and acknowledge that in the unique circumstances that we're in, for many of us, we are spending a lot more time at home and have a lot less distractions because those distractions are not as available with work and community things and all those things outside the home that right now are being restricted. So it's a great opportunity for us to do these sort of devotionals, and part of the reason why we as the elders wanted to kind of share a few a week with you, just to stay connected, but also to share how we sort of do our devotionals. So today I mentioned I'm doing Psalm 86. And the reason it fell on that is that I learned long ago that although I may love spending huge chunks of time with the Lord, there are going to be some days or many days when I just know ahead of time I'm not going to have that. So some days I have to be content with doing smaller things in smaller amounts. But I learned even doing those small things was encouraging and uplifting. And so I started off and I said, okay, I'm going to try to at least do a proverb a day. And the simple way for that is there's 31 proverbs. So I will take the proverb that matches up with the day of the calendar. So if it's the 26th day, for example, today, I'd read Proverb 26. And so for many years, I was getting a whole lot of proverbs. And then I spread out and started doing the same thing with the Psalms, which is a little bit higher math. But I would look at the day and say, okay, so starting with January 1st being the first day, what day of the calendar is this? And today it is the 86th day of 2020, which means that I opened up to Psalm 86, which is a beautiful, amazing psalm in my Bible. This psalm is like 2/3 highlighted, and some of it's highlighted like with the different color highlighter that I use to say, hey, this is really important and you need to really remember this. And so, right in the middle of this psalm, and I hope you get a chance to read it all. You'll see what I mean if you're not familiar with it. There's so much in there. You could spend a sermon series on it for like weeks. But right in the middle of it, there is a part that says, "Teach me your ways, O God, that I may rely on your faithfulness. Give me an undivided heart, that I may fear your name. I will praise you, my Lord, with all my heart, and I will glorify your name forever." And so, what I found is that to me, that was a great summation. If I have a short devotional time for a day, uh, that which I just said is a great prayer. And it breaks down into three parts. So the first one is, teach me your ways, O Lord. First and foremost, acknowledging that God, I need to be taught by you. Not only is my natural nature sinful, but I need to learn those ways to live and to honor you. So teach me your ways, O Lord, that I may rely on your faithfulness. And in a time like this, I think it's extremely important that we realize we are having to rely on God and his faithfulness for the things that he promises to do for those that he loves and has saved. So the second part is give me an undivided heart that I may fear your name. And so an undivided heart, I think of James in the first chapter of James in the New Testament, talking about not being a double-minded man who is blown and tossed by the wind. An undivided heart would be a heart that solely looks to God, instead of a divided heart where I am pulled in other directions towards other idols or other things that occupy me or other things that I may even believe are good, but divide my heart in the direction that I should be turning my heart towards, which is obviously the Lord. And you can see the importance of that in that it is saying that I may fear your name. And fear, especially in the Proverbs and the Psalms, is used not so much as fear, frightened, oh my gosh, I'm going to be destroyed. There's an element of that in there. But the fear of the Lord is mainly a reverence for understanding who God is and where I am, and being reverently acknowledging his power and sovereignty over everything, including my life. And we can see that in our actions because sometimes when I sin, I quickly realize, wait, I'm not fearing the Lord in a proper way. And again, that's not just fear of consequences or fear of I've done something bad and God's going to cosmically slap me down, but fear of understanding that everything that Christ has done for me, and that somehow my heart has been divided and I've forgotten that. And I need to turn and have that reverence for God that imparts some fear in his majesty and his power, but a reverent fear, a loving fear, an understanding of my place and his place, and trembling in that because he is so awesome and big. And the last part talks about is I will praise you, Lord my God, with all of my heart. I will glorify your name forever. And so, with that, I think if we had to have a summary of our purpose in life, it is reflecting the glory of God to others in his creation and praising him for understanding that. And so I want to praise you, Lord, with all of my heart. And then I want to glorify your name forever. And so I look at those and say, teach me your ways, Lord. Let me understand it where I have an undivided heart towards you. And then let me reflect your glory and praise you for my life. For me, that's just been a prayer that I can fall back on and say, wow, this is scripture really showing me how to orient my heart. So please, if you get the chance today, read through that entire psalm. Psalm 86 has so much involved in it. I will give one other plug out. If you're still watching, that 2 years ago we had a men's retreat and we did it all on prayer. And it was based on Tim Keller's book on prayer. And Chase gave out sort of this summation bookmark that I love and still use. I actually took a picture of it on my phone so I could always have it with me to remind me. And this was a great way to start off prayer and pray some things in the beginning where understand the text, to experience God through the text, and then to respond faithfully to the text. And then it gives some list of questions that you can use to help guide yourself through the text. And then at the end, kind of a summary prayer that will say, God, what am I going to do with this? And praise you and changes. And so I just say that because I'm sure Chase may still have those available. Feel free to reach out to him if you'd like one. Feel free to call us and we can walk you through how both of us have used this and how we shared that with the men. But I say this in some honesty that, especially when I dived into the Psalms and started reading them, there were some times that you hit the Psalm 86 and you're just like, wow, God, I thought this was going to be 5 minutes and I need to spend, 5 hours really diving into this when I have time. And there's other times you read it and you just said, okay, God, I'm not sure what to do with that one. And so that bookmark was another devotional tool that I started using that I found, okay, well, let me go to some of these questions to see what I can pull out of the text here. What is this text really telling me about God? What is this text possibly telling me about myself? So I mentioned that to you as well because there's no perfect way to do devotionals, and there's a lot of different material that we all use and love and is right for us that may not work for others. But if you want to learn more about that resource, please reach out to Chase or myself. We'd be happy to share it with you. But most importantly, we hope that you are able to use this time as an opportunity to really be able to spend more time with the Lord in prayer, diving into His Scripture. That's my prayer for you today. God bless, and I can't wait till we can all be together again in person. But for now, technology is great.